I know it's a YouTube cliche by now, but I can assure you from the bottom of my heart, I did not want to make this video. I did not want to be in the majority, the majority of people hating on how Game of Thrones is wrapping up. But I was on board. This episode got me out. So that's just, a little preface. This is going to be a very negative video. I'm just saying it right out of the gates. If you like this episode, a lot of people think it's the best episode so far in this season, at least, and they like where it's going. That's great. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I would very much like to be you right now. I would love to stay in the minority, saying pshaw to the detractors, but I'm just not there. And I think the thing that bothered me most about this episode wasn't even really the content of it. It's just how it made me feel afterwards. It put a bad taste in my mouth. I was just sad. I was disgusted. I was emotionally affected, but not in the way I want to be. I was just in such a terrible mood. The cynicism of this episode, I think, is just what got me. And not that Game of Thrones hasn't had some absolutely vile stuff. I'm not forgetting about all of that. But none of it felt as meaningless and empty as it did here. But anyway, we'll get into that. First things first, we have Varys' death. I was not a big fan of his death at all. I thought it was completely unearned. It was rushed in the first few minutes of this episode. He's just sending some letters. Somehow he has a bird, one of his little birds, messengers there. I don't know how she got on the island, but she's there. And then, he talks to Jon. Jon's like, Daenerys is my queen. And, Tyrion snitched on him. I can buy Tyrion being loyal to Daenerys and thinking that he can control her. That makes sense. I buy that. What I don't buy is that he is willing to just kill, a friend of it. He's just willing to get a friend of his killed after exercising a bit of skepticism. And he exercised some skepticism. And it's not like Varys was just going to, execute Daenerys immediately. He was building up a plan. I feel like Tyrion, I don't know. I just don't like the idea of Tyrion becoming this completely ignorant person who would just, he's not the guy to execute people for betrayal. He's never been that guy. He killed Tywin Lannister. And so I just don't know exactly what they're trying to do with him, but I don't like it. And then of course he gets proven wrong. So it's just like, what was the point of Varys dying? So you could make sure that this controversial, shocking moment happened. I guess that's what people are complaining about. It's prioritizing shock value over really entertainment or meaning or just quality writing in general. And then we have, there's some fast travel, extremely annoying. Why don't you just have this X amount of hours, days, weeks later or whatever? Something like that. Or just have more episodes. Why don't you? But Arya is also doing her own thing. She's like, while they're going on their quest to kill Cersei, I'm going to kill Cersei. I didn't have the one thing that I think was alright in this episode was Arya. They didn't ruin her. That decision of hers was odd, but I can't say it's really out of character. She is quite a little bit of an arrogant one, that character. Still my favorite character, but definitely, I'm like, dude, you can't take out a queen. But yeah, she goes off with the Hound, and then, the rest of the people are arriving. I guess they catch the people at King's Landing by surprise this time. And so none of the scorpions, those weapons that shoot the arrows and shit, and they don't do much. Like Daenerys dodges them with her dragon, and then she just obliterates like the entire military in like one swoop. Like there is no struggle there. It's not a battle. I refuse to call it a battle. People are calling it the Battle of Winterfell. No, it's not. It's just the massacre of Winterfell, basically. And she burns through stone somehow. And it's like, what was the point of all this preparation, all of that, when you could have just flown to King's Landing with the dragon and then just done all of that? I'm sorry, but there's something about that is obviously wrong. And I think that's the biggest theme with this episode, is not earning things. And yeah. I guess we just gotta talk about the elephant in the room, and then I'll divulge into some of the other things. Daenerys. Okay, so Daenerys is here, alright? On a dragon. Cersei is here. I mean, this looks more like Daenerys, but you got my point. I don't know. How's Peppermint Patty work? So, got those two. Looking at each other straight in the eye. And what does Daenerys do? She decides, you know what? I'm angry. I'm just gonna burn the entire city. I'm just gonna burn it. I'm not gonna go after Cersei, who, you know, doesn't exactly escape, because, you know, presumably she's dead. But she sure would have had a heck of a less of a chance if Cersei had just gone and burned Cersei. But no. Daenerys just sits there with dragon, and she's like, nope, I'm evil now. And she burns the entire city. And I think there was a behind-the-scenes clip or something where Benioff and Wise were like, there's a moment where in this episode where Daenerys is looking at the Red Keep, and there's like the castle where Cersei's staying, and she's like, my family built that, blah, 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 blah. And then what does she do? She destroys the entire kingdom. Where is she going to rule? Who is she going to rule? What is going to happen? It is in character for Daenerys to do terrible things to get what she wants. She could even do terrible and unnecessary things to get what she wants. This is a terrible, unnecessary thing that didn't even have any meaning. She has nothing against these peasants. The peasants haven't done anything to her. She just burns them because she's evil. And it's the most extreme action that she possibly could have done. There's no subtlety to it. It's just the writers making sure, oh, now there's no way you can sympathize with Daenerys. Now we're going to push these characters to the point where it's just, I mean, Daenerys is a pure villain now. I have a clear idea of what they could have done in this situation. Several, actually, that are far better than this. Was Daenerys going to do something awful during this battle? Inevitably. So, let's lay out some things. Daenerys, alright, they shoot her dragon down, alright, she lands on the ground. There's a bunch of innocent peasants in the way. And Cersei's right there, gotta get to them, you know? There's some actual tension going on in the battle. Bunch of peasants in the way. They're sort of blocking the way because, you know, the door's, you know, blocked and all. And, you know, Daenerys somehow knows, you know, how to get over there. Maybe your dragon's laying somewhere else and she has to get to it. So they just start kind of clearing the path a little bit and murdering some civilians. Now that is still kind of a jump. That's only one. That is only one possible outcome I could think of. 2, Daenerys is on a dragon. It's fine. But Daenerys is sort of having a shouting match. Cersei is like, you killed Miss Sunday, you did all this, you ruined my family, blah 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 blah. And they're not, and they've already rung the bells because the soldiers surrendered. Daenerys and Cersei's not backing down because she still thinks she can win it. Daenerys says, "All right, kill all the soldiers. The soldiers have laid down their weapons. They're not doing anything wrong. They might be saying something like, 'I have a family. I have a family.' They're trying to humanize these soldiers. Like, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to be one of the poor peasants, so I signed up to fight for Cersei. And then, Grey Worm is like, 'But you were compliant. You helped Cersei accomplish goals.' And then they slaughter all the soldiers. That is a great way, a logical way, an in-character move that also, would put some people on edge and be like, whoa, Daenerys, not such a good gal afterwards. After all, that is coming from someone who has never written television, film in their life. And those are only two ideas I have. There are plenty of other ones. Is it a less extreme action? Yes, but I think that makes it better. And it's just such a leap. I do not believe that with all the events that transpired in Daenerys' life, yes, the Sons of the Harpy made, getting rid of slavery much harder. She's about conquest. She's very full of herself. She's definitely killed a lot of people to inspire fear, blah, blah, blah. But this, no meaning, no purpose, just a bunch of people screaming, and it felt exploitative in a way. It was like, here is something shocking and terrible and violent, but all of the stuff in Game of Thrones leading up to this point always had some meaning behind it, even if it was so cruel, unnecessary, blah. Even Ramsay Bolton, some of his awful actions had some sort of purpose. But this got in the way of Daenerys' goal. She wanted to kill Cersei, and what did she do? She didn't kill Cersei. She killed a bunch of innocent people who she wanted to rule and to protect, blah, blah, blah. Now, let's talk about what could happen after sort of this whole battle happened. She could take the throne, and then maybe the peasants were not that happy with her, and they started, shouting various insults at her. And, this all comes back to how she was telling Jon earlier in the episode, like, the North don't love me, these people don't love me, maybe some more of her advisors could betray her in some way, they don't trust her. And then, at that point, where it all just sort of, steams up for her, and she's like, all right, we're going to burn this crowd. You aren't happy? Well, and then that is when we're either going to have Jon, Tyrion, someone is going to kill Daenerys. That would be a way better conclusion, I think. Something. But I don't know what they were trying to accomplish with it here. And it really rubbed me the wrong way, because I like Daenerys' character, good or bad. I think they could do a lot of great things with her, and I think there is a way they could wrap it up, within these 2 episodes. It would be a little rushed, but I think it would work. I definitely always saw her as descending into a Mad Queen type, but the way they did it here was so illogical and comical in a way, and just depressing also. And I did not dig it. So we got to talk about some of the other stuff. We have Clegane Bowl. This was okay. I mean, it was a somewhat short battle. I was frustrated with how many times Sandor, the Hound, kept just stabbing the Mountain in, like, the shoulder or something or other. And then it, like, instead of his head, like, he didn't even try for his head. the mountain could have blocked or whatever, but like, and then once he was blind, he like once his eyes were popped out, he manages to stab the mountain in the head. That was so stupid. And how he stabbed the mountain in the head finally, and the mountain pulled it out. Are you kidding me? I know the mountain is strong. He was almost killed by Oberyn. Are you kidding me? Oberyn? But you know, but then his very strong, tall brother, yeah, he with even stabbing through the head, that didn't do much. Are you kidding me? Also, he looks exactly like Darth Vader under the mask. And then, so they just, they grab each other and they just fall into the fire. So those characters are gone. Like, it was okay, but it was so just forced in this episode. And I was like, come on, that could have been its own episode. Like, it really should have been a better payoff, I think. And then we have... So, I briefly want to go back to the Daenerys thing. Grey Worm? What the heck, buddy? I believe that Grey Worm might do something if the Queen ordered him to. But he just stabbed an innocent soldier. He just did that. Even with Missandei dying. I do not understand that. Why? Why? He's a guy who follows orders. He'll do bad things. He's a soldier. But that is like anarchy. It's like once Daenerys did something horrible, they were like, oh, this is opportunity to do horrible things ourselves. Oh, God. Worse. It's genuinely painful. What else? Oh, Jaime, Cersei. Jaime, I thought was gonna, maybe gonna go back to kill Cersei or try to reason with her, which, that's still kind of stupid. And then Tyrion's just okay with Jaime going back to Cersei. Like, again, I know Jaime is his soft spot, but, like, I feel like in these episodes, people are either not growing, they're regressing, or they're progressing too fastly. It's like, can we get a balance, please? I think they did in the earlier episodes, but everything's just happening so fast, and it's so extreme and lacking in subtlety. It's like, really? And Jaime just decides, snap, no motivation, none, to go back to Cersei. He wants to be with Cersei. I believe that Jaime would want to die with Cersei. That makes sense. It's, like, I get it. It's the woman he's loved for most of his life. And, if he figures, oh, there's no way I can get out of this. There's no way you can get out of this. Let's just spend our last few minutes of life together. I get that, and that's sort of what they did. But they took it too far in that their romance is rekindled for no reason. Like, oh my God, you just ignored 7 seasons of character development with that one. I don't understand that one. So I guess we gotta circle back to Arya with this one. I did like how she was helping people, escape the battle. I never really felt her, like, connection to Daenerys. I think she's kind of isolated from a lot of this, which took away some of the power from it. But, there's some really nice imagery. It's a technically well-made episode, for sure. It's a spectacle. It's a horrible, unearned spectacle. But, there's obviously a lot of great craft that went into this. And the scenes with Arya are visually very exciting and even have packed the most punch out of anything in this episode, probably. A white horse shows up, she rides it off, and she's helping all these people, and my one thing is that, like, buildings keep crashing on her, she narrowly escapes fire, and she doesn't die. Like, I don't know. I felt like she was put in a lot of mortal danger. One thing I don't understand is, like, why didn't Daenerys go after her own people? Her own people are the ones she's mad at. But she just went off against these innocents. Okay. I've been rambling for 20 minutes, but I'm sad. I'm really sad that one of my favorite shows is going out this way. I just, I'm holding out hope for the last episode, but I just, you can't come back from that. Like, I'm hoping they'll get to the place I wanted them to go and expected them to go, and then, they'll go from here and it'll be kind of satisfying, maybe. But I feel like even if the payoff is kind of good, the setup still matters, and the setup was excruciating. So, yeah, I'm sorry to be a downer, but I was disgusted by this episode. I am dumbfounded by the decisions made here, and I felt like it went way downhill from the 4th episode, which I thought was amazing. And it well, leave a like if you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to check out the rest of my content for some reason. And as always, I'll see you in the next Game of Thrones video. Maybe. I don't know if it's Game of Thrones. It'll be something. Bye.